the idea that they would be able to securitize bilateral trade or bilateral letters of credit in some medium other than the US dollar, that they have been and continued to be investors in gold, not because they intend a gold-backed yuan. They don't intend that. It would reduce their power, but rather because they would like to be able to conduct business bilaterally in a medium of exchange that isn't the US dollar. China became great when Deng Xiaoping said to become rich is glorious, and loosened the control of the Chinese Communist Party over the Chinese people. The Chinese people had always been successful when they got out of China, when they were allowed to work for themselves and their families. And the liberalization unleashed by Deng Xiaoping has probably been the greatest economic event really since the Industrial Revolution, the urbanization of 600 million people, and the unleashment of that creativity on the world. The regression from that liberalization, I think, is a very bad thing. With regards to Evergrande in particular, as I understand it, the aggregate debts are around $300 billion. So if you assume that it isn't a total write-off, because it isn't, there's stuff, there's buildings, there's land, there will be a recovery. The last time anybody looked, the Chinese Communist Party had access to about $1.8 trillion in foreign reserves. So if you assume, just for fun, a 35% write-off, you're talking about $100 billion against a kitty that's got $1.8 trillion in it. The question is going to be who wins and who loses. Yeah. But in terms of this actually driving something in world markets, I think because it appeals to people's sentiment, that it will cause perturbations, if that's the right phrase, in global markets. I think, too, that Xi is in favor of an ascendant government. Ascendant governments, in my experience, always lead to lower living standards for the citizenry. And part of the ascendant government is increasing power at the center and decreasing individual freedom. The idea, as an example, that people could circumvent currency controls by mining Bitcoin, exporting the Bitcoin and turning that Bitcoin into gold or dollars or something else without having to bribe a state official or at least ask permission, is something that from the CCP's point of view is inexcusable. If you take them at their word, they would like China's power and stature to reflect, if you will, their latent might. They would like to be important at a global level, economic, militarily. They have what they consider to be unfinished business with regards to land claims in places like Tibet and the South China Sea. They're obviously going to become more assertive. They obviously don't like the idea that they're going to be told what to do by anybody, be that Korea, be it Japan, be it the United States, be it India. The idea that they have to trade, as an example, with a neighbor like Vietnam or a different neighbor like Russia in US dollars must be mortifying to them. So I can understand perfectly the idea that they would be able to securitize bilateral trade or bilateral letters of credit in some medium other than the US dollar, that they have been and continued to be investors in gold, not because they intend a gold-backed yuan. They don't intend that. It would reduce their power, but rather because they would like to be able to conduct business bilaterally in a medium of exchange that isn't the US dollar. Make no mistake, the idea that the Chinese are going to have a digital currency that's backed with gold is stupid. Having to have a currency that's backed in gold imposes a discipline on a government, a reduction in government power in favor of the holder of the currency. And that's the furthest thing from any government's mind. Yours, mine, or the Chinese. The bigger the government, the greater the deterioration in individual liberty. So unfortunately, for the next while, it would appear that China is headed in that direction. You know, certainly the Chinese economy, as an example, is alleged to be levered to 3 times GDP. So while there is room for an Evergrande, there isn't room for a series of Evergrandes, even with the $1.8 trillion in cash in the sidelines.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. The fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.